We all remember exactly where we were. 10 years ago tomorrow, 26 innocent, precious souls woke up on a chilly December Friday in Connecticut, bundled up for school or for work. And although none of them knew it at the time, said goodbye to their families, their moms and dads and loved ones for the last time. I'll spare you the rest of the story because you know it, but no one has ever forgotten any aspect of it. The trauma we felt for them, to watch what happened at Sandy Hook Elementary School, even from far away. But the horror and the sheer evil we all witnessed that day. It's also a very quiet, brutal beginning of something really important. The unleashing of what author Dave Cullen called a slow-motion tsunami of determination that culminated in the first significant act of Congress on gun safety in nearly 3 decades this June. And that's just at the federal level. A new report from the Giffords Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence reveals that across the country, 525 significant gun safety laws have been adopted in the decade since Newtown, across nearly every single state in the nation. Grassroots gun safety groups have stood toe-to-toe with powerful gun lobbies, fundamentally shifting the balance of power in a fight once thought to be hopeless. 10 years later, it is a proud legacy of Newtown after such a horrific tragedy. Joining us now, one of the most eloquent voices in this fight, Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut. Senator, what are your thoughts today? It's a big one tomorrow.
Yeah, it is a big one, and this is, a time of year that a lot of the families in Sandy Hook try to ignore, but at 10 years you can't. I guess I think about, all of the good that has been done by these families. I mean, it is just tremendous how many different charitable organizations, not-for-profits have been started in the names of these children. I think about how many of these families have become active in the movement that you just described. There's just no question that without the Sandy Hook families speaking up on behalf of these kids who now live in fear when they enter their school, we wouldn't have seen the change at the state level and at the federal level. So I think that a lot has gone right in the last 10 years after that just absolutely cataclysmic day in Sandy Hook. Tomorrow I'll, quietly be in touch with a lot of those families. It'll be a very, very difficult day for many of them, but I do think that they see all of the lives that have been changed in small ways and big ways by the efforts that have been led by the community in Sandy Hook since December 14th, 2012.
I think, we came on the air with the marriage equality bill signing at the White House. I think there is progress, but right next to it is the pain of the pace of progress. And I want to show our viewers your comments after Uvalde. We played them when they happened. I want to play them again.
This isn't inevitable. These kids weren't unlucky. This only happens in this country and nowhere else. Nowhere else do little kids go to school thinking that they might be shot that day. Nowhere else do parents have to talk to their kids, as I have had to do, about why they got locked into a bathroom and told to be quiet for 5 minutes just in case a bad man entered that building. Nowhere else does that happen except here in the United States of America, and it is a choice. It is our choice to let it continue.
So right next to the progress and the contributions, we still live in a country where no matter your party affiliation, no matter where you live, no matter your income, no matter who you are, your babies start going through active shooter drills from about the age of 3. And when they come home and tell you about it, usually the school sends an email, but if they don't, you hear about it from your kid. And they tell you about hiding and being really quiet so the bad people won't hear them. Do you think that'll change in our lifetime?
Well, Nicole, coincidentally, just off camera next to me is my 14-year-old and 3 of his friends. And they came to spend the afternoon with me here in Congress. And just a few weeks ago, they went through an active shooter lockdown drill at their school, a shooting that had happened just off campus. And so you have to realize this is the reality for all our kids right now, and we shouldn't accept it in this country. The good news is that these kids all across the country who are speaking for themselves now and their parents parents have built an anti-gun violence movement that is now more powerful than the gun lobby. We saw that first breakthrough this summer when we passed a bill that the NRA opposed that makes it a little bit harder for young people to buy assault weapons, takes guns away from domestic abusers, begins the criminal prosecution of gun trafficking. All of that was only possible because there is a bipartisan uprising in this country of those parents and those kids who are saying enough. And I think we are entering an era in which we are going to see regular progress on tightening the gun laws of this nation. So I get it that the progress is not fast enough. But for 30 years, we've made no progress. And I think that what happened this summer is not the exception. I think it's the beginning of a rule.
And you are the glue, I understand, in these negotiations with some of your friends across the aisle, because you never seem to reject any piece of this. And you've written a really powerful, heartbreaking piece about loneliness today. Talk about it.
Yeah, I wrote a piece today talking about a real epidemic that's sweeping this country. We have feelings of loneliness being reported at rates we've never seen before. 30% of Americans say that they have intense feelings of loneliness. 60% of teens are reporting similar feelings. And there's real political consequences to that epidemic. It breeds unhealthy experiences. It leads people to sort of dark places. It gives rise to demagogues who try to use this sort of anger as a means to divide ourselves from each other. I think it's a real opportunity for bipartisan cooperation. I think Republicans get this as much as Democrats do. And so the things that we can do to try to combat loneliness, building more healthy communities, more healthy social organizations, trying to stop the way that our online experiences actually breed isolation and envy. Those are things that I do think that there's potential for both parties to talk about. And so I wrote this piece today on a topic that most people don't think of as a political topic, loneliness, because I think it's actually a place where we can find common ground. And we often know that these mass shooters, they start in a very, very lonely place. And that eventually causes them to become unhinged enough that they contemplate mass violence.